Good day, everyone. My name is George Furness. I'm the producer, I'm the engineer, I am the recording, I am the mixing, I am the mastering engineer, I am the DJ and head of production at the campus of Performing Arts, the Johannesburg branch. Today I'm introducing another topic and I'm very passionate about this one. It's a bit tricky, because I've realized that most of the time we use these terms, just haphazardly. And today I'm gonna talk about it and, separate them. Acoustics. I'm going to talk about 6 topics, 6 things within acoustics. And apart from acoustics, introducing acoustics today, I have maybe 3 or 4 topics that I'm going to introduce maybe this week and next week, and those will be the stuff that I'll be actually discussing throughout the year. Maybe I'll have 10 topics to discuss within the production, the music production industry. Today it's acoustic part 1, and from part 1 I'm going to actually talk about frequency. I'm going to talk about acoustic isolation. I'm going to talk about acoustic separation. I'm going to talk about acoustic treatment. I'm going to talk about acoustic transmission. And I'm going to talk about soundproofing. These things, normally I talk about them when I teach a diploma because they reflect a lot in the diploma, my diploma syllabus. But I just feel like, yes, this is something that I need to touch base on under acoustics. Not today, though. We will talk about studio designs and the material and stuff like that. But today, we only going to talk about those 6 topics. I'm just going to define them and differentiate them because most of the time, people we just using them, for fun. Now let's talk about frequency. Frequency is the first one, and my definition of frequency, I will say frequency is the rate at which an acoustic generator or a vibrating mass repeats within a cycle of a positive or negative amplitude. The rate at which an acoustic generator or a vibrating mass repeats within a cycle of positive or negative rate. What it does, what it means is within audio, we talk about the zero crossing point. And if you have your zero crossing point as this line, then you find something that I can actually do an example for you, example of a wave. You have a pen. This pen here, this straight line, this straight part here, that's your zero crossing point. And the sound will start from here going up, and then as it loses energy, it's going to go down, 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 past the zero crossing point, and then back to the negative point, So it will be plus and negative. So the audio will start from the positive and then go up, and then as it loses energy, it comes down, and then it crosses, and then it gets into the negative and back to the zero crossing point. So we're saying that the rate at which an acoustic generator or a vibrating mass repeats within a cycle, this from here going up, coming down, and then let me put it here, from here going up, coming down. That's one full cycle from positive to negative. At the top here, we're going to have your positive, and then at the bottom here, you're going to have your negative. That's what frequency is all about, the rate at which an acoustic mass or an acoustic generator or a vibrating mass repeats within a cycle of positive, which will be up here, and a negative, which will be down here. Positive amplitude, negative amplitude. So I wanted you to understand it in simple terms. Sometimes when you come first class or first time in my class and then we talk about frequency, we simply say, hey, it's just vibrations, or 1 cycle per second. But remember that it has everything to do with amplitude, the positive amplitude and the negative amplitude. You know, the positive amplitude, and this here will be your negative amplitude. So that will be your frequency. The second thing that I want to talk about will be your acoustic isolation. Your acoustic isolation, think of the word or the term isolation. Here we simply saying we're preventing sound from moving in or out of the space. So that means we just containing sound. You know, we preventing sound is the prevention of sound from moving in or out of space. Acoustic separation. It's very, very simple. It doesn't really need you to think too much. The second thing that we're going to talk about is acoustic separation. You know, they all have acoustics, but they have different meaning. With acoustic separation, it's separating louder and softer instrument. Acoustic separation, sometimes you have the one that they are like glasses, but it's sort of fiberglass. You know, I've seen them, we've once used them at the SABC, whereby on stage, let's say we're recording a live band, and then we actually divide the artist on stage or musicians on stage. We divide them. It's like some sort of cubicle. So we divide them so that the sound from the loud instrument, you know, it should not actually spool within the other mic. So we're just separating them, but you can see through, it's just some sort of cubicles. So that's what an acoustic separation is, separating louder and softer instrument, because we want to maintain them, we want to contain them. You know, because sometimes when you're recording a live band, louder sound, louder instrument sometimes gives you a problem as an engineer, because there's too much leakage there will be leakage on other mics, you know, and when you're mixing, you have to do too much of editing. So we try to separate them, and you should try to separate them. Acoustic separators, they are a bit expensive, but you know, if you can afford them, go out there and get them. And then we're going to talk about the fourth one that I just need to explain, will be an acoustic treatment. And this one is quite interesting, because when people do soundproofing, when people do, you know, it's one term that we normally misuse, and we use it like the way we want, you know, and it tend to lose the meaning. So with acoustic treatment, we're talking, I'll say that the acoustic treatment is the use of absorbing, reflecting, and diffusing materials, you know, to give a room a desired degree of freedom from echo and reverberation. I'll repeat it again. I'm saying acoustic treatment, my definition, or the definition of acoustic treatment, is the use of absorbing, reflecting, and diffusing material to give a room a desired degree of freedom from echo and reverberation. You will think of acoustic treatment when you, let's say you turning your room into a studio, into a bedroom studio. You might have different challenges whereby some frequencies are overly reflected, and you know, you don't have any absorbing. So in another way, I would say, you know, you have a confused room. Your room, like, frequencies are just bouncing all over the place, and they might end up actually causing loads of problems. They might cause standing waves. They might cause so many problems. But now, and the room itself will have some echo, or the room itself will have a natural reverb according to the material used to build that room. So if you want to use it as a studio, or you want to use it to do the recording, you might have to think of your acoustic treatment. And here, when I talk about acoustic treatment, I mention three things. I've mentioned the absorbing material, I've mentioned the reflecting material, and I've mentioned the diffusing material. Absorbing material will be your soft material, whereby when frequencies hit, they will actually be absorbed. It's like your sponge, they will absorb. Remember, and that will actually do very well. Your sponge, your foams will do very well on your low frequency. And you have, I've also mentioned the reflecting material. Reflecting material are solid material, hard surfaces, whereby they tend to, when high, they are good for high frequency, because high frequency hits them, because the high frequency that does not have the energy, that much energy. So when they hit, they actually hit and come back, but they're reflecting back. So they are not really absorbed. And then you have diffusers. Your diffusers, we're talking about material that actually can disperse, that can disperse frequencies instead of frequencies being reflected or being absorbed. It can actually disperse into different directions, and yeah, those are the things that we're talking about when we're talking about the absorbing material. Or in studio, sometimes we talk about bass strips, and I'm just trying to think of reflecting material. I can't remember one now, but think of your concrete wall. Your concrete wall is a solid wall that frequencies will hit. High frequencies will be actually reflected from it, will reflect from it. The other one that I think it's the fifth one that I want to talk about is acoustic transmission. At acoustic transmission, my definition, or I will define it and say, is when a noise source in one room results from an impact of an object onto a separate surface. When a noise source from one room results from an impact of an object onto a separate surface. And for example, I will say, let's look at if you're living on a double story or in a flat, whereby you have people walking on the top floor and you can still hear them while you're on the bottom floor. Like that example is a simple example of a floor that transmits the sounds onto the adjacent room. The sound of footsteps being heard in a room below. So that's what we call transmission, an acoustic transmission. And the last thing that I want to talk about is soundproofing. It's a nice, people always, they would love to have studio, and they talk about soundproofing. The reason why maybe I have to mention all these things, because when people are doing studio design, they are doing soundproofing, they are doing whatever, they just, at time, you'll hear all those things. The one that you don't hear them a lot is acoustic transmission when people are dealing with studios. But the last one that I want to talk about is, or that I want to define, is soundproofing. And with soundproofing, it's very simple and straightforward. Is when you soundproof a room, you make that room or that building resistant to the passage of sound. So that means you trying to make sure that sound from the inside doesn't actually go outside, and sound from the outside does not come to the inside, because that will be regarded as a disturbances. Can you imagine you in studio, you're recording vocals and you just hearing someone saying something, that is not part of the material that you're trying to capture. So those are the 6 topics that I just want to touch base on. Remember, the first one we spoke about frequencies, and then I went down to acoustic isolation, acoustic separation, acoustic treatment, acoustic transmission, and the last one, it was soundproofing. Hey, maybe I love this because it's one of the it forms part of the assessment or the assignment for my diploma year 1, whereby they have to go and design the studio and soundproof it, and they have to go and calculate the reverb time before soundproofing. And we will do that on a later stage, whereby you have to go know which material the room is made of and the absorption coefficient and stuff like that, whereby you need to calculate the size of the room and the problems before you can actually try to sort out the problem. Because most of the time what we tend to do, we try to sort out the problem that we don't know, by pasting foam and whatever on the wall. This is how we're ending it today. It's Monday, guys. My name is George Furness. I am the artist, I am the producer, I am the mixing, the recording, and the mastering engineer. I am the DJ, and above all, I teach all those subjects at the campus of Johannesburg. I don't know where I work. Oh no, where do I work? Campus of Performing Arts, the Johannesburg branch. I don't think my boss will be actually impressed with me. I can't remember where I work. And I've been working here for 17 years. Anyway, let's leave it there. I'll catch you later, or later today, or later during the week with another topic. Maybe we will move on into part 2 of a DJ in tips. Take care. Bye. Have a safe week. Have a safe day. Till next time.